So today we're going to talk about Cpcfc. And if we ever did congruent triangles, that'll become very familiar for you. But Cpcfc, well, Cpcfc is corresponding parts of congruent figures are congruent. Usually it's triangles because that's where you start in geometry, but we're doing figures today. So any figure, if we know they are congruent, which means they are the same, which means they are equal, then you've got all the parts of each of those figures are equal. So when we look at this, if I look at JK, which is the first two letters, and PQ, we can see those two are equal to each other. So if I look for JK, I can put PQ. All right. And the same is going to go for everything around this figure. So what's the next one? It says KL. KL is the second and third letter, so I better go to the second and third letter, QR. So that's QR. Okay. You could pick one instead and go from there. So we could say SR down at the bottom and ML. So I'm going to look, LM. So we're going to go from here to here. So we better go R to S. Or you could look R to S, L to M. Okay? You will always be able to connect those pieces together. So the last one that they show, and it's a good way to get different colors for me, is J to M. So J to M is going to be P to S. All right. Now, relatively the same if we're talking about angles. If I talk about angle K, I'm talking about angle Q. If I talk about angle M, I'm talking about angle S. So I should put the angle symbol there. And we'll talk about J is the same as P. And then angle L. Oop, that's why I don't have the highlighter. We have R and L. So those angles correspond with each other as well. So angle R. All right. So each of the pieces has the same correlating part with the other figure. So here's figure 1 that gets mapped onto figure 2, or figure 2 gets mapped onto figure 1. Just depends on where you start to where you finish. So with that same idea, use what you have and try the triangle. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is side JK. Just kidding. No, not really, but it's side JK. And JK is going to correlate with Q to R. So if they don't give us anything handy dandy, we need to look at the letters. So it's going to be Q to R. And these are segments. And then we will go K to L. K to L is my next segment. So when I look at that, K to L is going to be R to P. And I'm just looking at the letters and the orientation. So K is in the middle, then L is at the end, R is in the middle, P is at the end. So you have to think about it in that regard. And then the last one, J to L. J to L. Now, if I use J, J is the first, L is the last, so I better use Q as the first and P as the last. So I'm going to go Q to P. Okay. Now that we've done that, just do the angles. And hopefully you can see from the angles, you just use the letters angle J, angle K, angle L. Those are the letters that are written, and it's first, second, third, so go first, second, third. Do yourself a favor. Q, R, P. You won't make mistakes if you follow the letters, okay? So give that a try without a picture. See if you can fill this out. If I talk about angle H, Where's angle H located? What's located in the other one? Angle L. Okay, go through and complete these two. See what you can do. And then look for the finished notes to see if you did them right. All right, let's find missing sides and lengths in the measure. So what we're going to do here, we know AB and DE, so AB and DE are the same. We know BC and EF are the same. BC, EF, and you might go, Schmidt, how do you know? Well, look what it says right here. It says triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And that congruent sign is the same as equals. Equals gives you a number answer. Congruent gives you a side answer. Okay? So they're just telling you that this side is equal to that side. They don't have to associate numbers with it. They're just telling you they're the two same triangles. Now, if they start to put numbers in here, we can start to use those numbers properly, but we don't necessarily need them. All right, and then the last one, A to C, so first to last, is D to F. First to last. So the green side is going to be 3.5 because the green side over here is 3.5. The blue side is 2.6, so the blue side over here is going to be 2.6. And then the red side, 3.7, is going to be 3.7 over here. Now, whether you can catch on to the angles or not, that could be a little trickier, but angle A is going to be the same as angle D. So whenever you see angle A, make angle D the same measure. So in that case, angle A has no measure, but angle D has a measure of 73. So I know this angle 73. Okay. Angle F, F is the last one, so C is the last one, is going to be 42. And then what's left over is left over. And if you look, angle B is in the middle, angle E is in the middle. We know we did it right. So after we're done with all of that, look, now, and what's the measure of angle A? Well, that's easy, it's 73. What's the measure of angle B? Well, that's easy, it's 65. What's the measure of angle C? Oh, 42, because we just use the information from this triangle to put it on this triangle because these two triangles are identical because of the congruence. Identical. Okay? So now do the same thing with letter B. Fill in, I know this is going to be 124 because T and W are in the same spots. So if that's 124, X is going to be with U, so that's going to be 18. And then B is going to be 38 with S. Okay? Fill in all the rest and answer those questions. Take a moment to pause, give it a shot, see what you can do. And ST is going to correlate with VW. TU is WX. And SU and XV. There we go. All right. Use the colors, coordinate with the coordination. If you look at purple and green, look at purple and green. So if you're wondering which angle is going to go with what angle, look at the colors. The colors will tell you. I got purple and blue right here. So use purple and blue right there. Green and blue. What's in between green and blue? Well, it's 18. What's in between green and blue over here? It's 18. So fill it in. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take those pieces that are equal to each other. So let's go ahead and we'll highlight real quick. Angle A should go with angle D. And then angle B should go with angle E. And then what's left? F and C. Now if I do this, I can color coordinate the sides pretty quickly, because if I do A to B, look at yellow to green. Yellow to green. Oh. And then B to C. So green to pink. I'm going to do green to pink. And then the last one, we're going to do yellow to pink. So we'll do yellow to pink. And if we were to follow the letters, it would follow along in that same regard. So what are we going to set up? Well, the first thing that it shows is yellow and yellow. So it's telling us one yellow is 5y plus 11, and the other yellow is 6y plus 2. Now remember, they were congruent, which means the same. However, if we're looking for an actual answer, we wouldn't put congruent here. We'd want to put equals, because we want to make sure that this side is going to be equal to that side. So then just start solving it out. So this was, I mean, if you really wanted to start, you could say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF, and that's given. So then I could say angle A is congruent to angle D, because corresponding parts of congruent figures are congruent. We'll use F instead of T. And then we're just going to use substitution. So we substitute our values in. So angle A was this, angle D is that. Substitute it in. And now if we solve it out, underline your variables, draw a line down the middle of the equal sign. If they're not on the same side, I've got to move one to the other side. So I can either move this 5y over to here or this 6y over to there. And either way, as long as you math it correctly, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to subtract 5y from both sides because I don't like dealing with negative numbers. So this is the subtraction property of equality. And these are going to zero out, so we're zeroing out the 5y's so that they disappear. And what I'm going to be left with is 11. This is going to be y plus 2. Okay? So then we're going to use the subtraction property of equality. All right. And we're going to get y to equal 9 because we zero out the 2's. So that's how we find y. So y is 9. Now, if we wanted to find what A to B was, I guess we have to plug x in. But angle D, so angle D equals 6y plus 2. So angle D is going to equal 6 times 9 plus 2 because we're going to use substitution. And we can call that given information. If the picture tells you, that's considered given information. So that we have 54 plus 2, so that's multiply. And then angle D equals 56. And we can just put simplify. Or you could do add if you want, if you like that better. So that means that this is 56 degrees. And we're going to set up the same thing for purple and purple. We're going to set this equal to that through that same process because we can start with the triangles are given. That means the side lengths are equal or congruent. Substitute our values in, solve for the variable, and then plug it back in. Hey, babe.
I'm about ready.
Oh, okay.
It's like you're speaking a whole different language. It's fascinating to me.
Well, That just means you need to tune in more to my channel. All right, G to H. And G to H, because I know GHJK is congruent to LMNP, and that's given. That means GH is going to be congruent to LM. And I don't even need pictures. And that's Cpcfc. Most math teachers got so used to saying Cpcfc all the time. Congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Because back in the day, you used to do a lot of triangle congruent proofs. And they're barely in it at all. If they do it at all. All right, so now we're going to substitute our values in. So we're going to take that 4x plus 3 that is in GH, and we're going to set it equal to LM, which is 6x minus 13. And that is substitution. And just so no one gets confused, I'm going to move that minus away from the 13. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight my variables. Once again, it looks like they are going to be on opposite sides. So I can move the 6 or I can move the 4. We took the easy route last time, so I'm going to take the negative route this time. I'm going to show that even though we get negatives, this is subtraction property of equality. So we're going to get a negative 2x plus 3 equals negative 13. And that is because we zero out the 6 x's. Okay. Well, in turn then, if I'm still solving for x, I got to get rid of the plus 3. So I'm going to minus 3 to both sides. And subtraction property of equality. We're going to get a negative 2x equals negative 16. And here is where, if you do your math correctly, which I'm already writing the wrong number down, if you do your maths correctly, then the negative divided by the negative becomes a positive x. Oh, so this was zeroing out the 3's. Then we're going to do division property of equality. And then we are wanting out the negative 2's because we want to make this a 1. Because 1x is just an x. And this is going to give us an 8. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So x equals 8. I can plug it back into LM. So 6x minus 13 equals LM. That's given. I know x is 8, so I'm going to do 6 times 8. Alright. Man. Okay, so it just showed that I disconnected, which neither here nor there for me, as long as the video didn't stop recording, so I'll have to check that. Alright, so this is going to be, what is that, 48 minus 13 equals LM, so multiply, and then subtract, so that would be 35 by doing the subtraction, or simplify, but we could put subtraction in here as well. So that LM equals 35. So we just took that value, plugged it in for our x, and then solved it out. We're going to do the same thing for the angle. So whatever the job was, so H is going to correlate with M. So this is just extra information. So you're going to find what Y is, and then you can plug it back in to find what H is, and you can plug it back in to find what angle L is if you really wanted to. So be careful, make sure you're answering the questions that they're asking you, but all of those are definitely attainable. All right. I'm going to stop it here because I want to make... Alright, so we're going to finish round 2. We sort of left off with... Let's go back real quick. This problem right here, where we talked about sides being congruent to the other side, so setting them equal, solving for the variable, then plugging that variable back in. So we did this with the angle of the sides. Sorry, we said GH was congruent to LM, and we set the x's equal to each other. Then you would do the same thing for the y's, and we talked about angle M being the same as angle H. If we look right here, M is the second letter, so is H, so those two are going to be the congruent angles of each other, so we would set those equal to each other and then plug the y in to find the angles. So let's do that. Let's take the angle, and we could actually start with the first statement. JK is congruent to L, M, and P. That's given. Then we can say angle H is congruent to angle M by Cpcfc. Congruent parts of congruent figures are congruent. Then substitution. We're going to say angle H is 9y plus 17 is equal to 11y minus 1. So if this is our case, we want to add 1 to both sides. So that will be the addition property of equality. And that will zero out the 1's, which is why we're doing this to begin with. We want to get the y's by itself. So in order to do so, we need to move the 1 to the other side, which will give us 18, and then 9y. So now we can subtract 9y from both sides to get all the y's on the same side. And we say both sides, we're talking both sides of the equal sign, because we could run that all the way up. So this is subtraction property of equality. And we'll get 2y equals 18, and we zero out the 9y's. And then we're going to do division property of equality. So division property of equality to get rid of the 2's, because we want to 1 out the 2's, so that y equals 9. So y equals 9. Then once again, we'll say angle H is equal to 9y plus 17. That's given because the picture tells us that's what angle H is. Then angle H equals 9 times 9 plus 17. So that's just substitution because we're plugging in what y actually is. And 81 plus 17. So you can just hit simplify and combine like terms. And angle H is going to equal 98. So 98 degrees would be angle H, which should be the same for angle M, which 11 times 9 is 99 minus 1, 98. So it does math out. Okay. Next, same kind of issue. Angle E. So angle A right here is equal to angle E. So angle A equals angle E by Cpcfc. Corresponding parts of congruent figures are congruent. And we know they're congruent because it tells us they're congruent. And then we do substitution. So 3x plus 20 equals 5x minus 80. So we'll add 80 to both sides. So this is substitution. Addition, property of equality. POE. 5x equals 3x plus 100. We'll subtract 3x. And 100 equals 2x. This we zero out the 80s. Subtraction, property of equality. Then this is going to zero out the 3 x's. Then divide by 2. X equals 50. That's division, property of equality. And we are wanting out the 2's. So x equals 50. Substitute it back in. And you should get 150. 250. What am I missing? So what is it? 150, 170. My bad. 170 is the answer. So 170 degrees is what angle E should be.
I'm going to take him to do this, but when we get back, will you try to lay down with him? He needs to go to bed.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Real quick, let's set the other ones up. So I have y plus 7 equals 3y minus 7. We can add 7 to both sides. That's going to zero out my 7's, and I'll have 14. Then minus a y, I will have 2 y's equal 14. That means y will equal 7 when I divide both sides by 2. And then plug 7 back in, AB should be 14. Double check those numbers, make sure you did it correctly. But now, they want to know what's going to make these equal. So they're telling us this side is equal to that side, this side is equal to that side, this side is equal to that side, this angle is equal to that angle, this angle is equal to that angle. So they're giving us a lot of information for equal opportunity. So what we need to understand first off is that all 3 angles in a triangle add together to give you 180 degrees. So angle J plus angle K, that's terrible, plus angle K plus angle L is going to equal 180 degrees. Well, if I know K is 45 and I know J is 55, then I can find angle L by adding these together, subtracting from the other side. So 100, that's got to leave me 80 left over for this right here, which means this has got to be 80. So however you want to do it, you need to set up 5x plus 30 equals 80. And then after we do that, we can subtract 30 from both sides. So subtraction, property of equality. It's awfully bright color. This will give us 50. This will give us 5x divided by 5. So we zero out. Oh, thank you so much. Zero out the 30, sorry. Because we're zeroing out the 30s right here. Oh, thank you everyone for the likes. Holy cow. Appreciate it. Then we're going to do division, property of equality. And x is going to equal 10. So find the value of the variable that results in congruent triangles. That's going to be x equals 10. Because once x equals 10, then we would have 80 under here, which will give us exactly what we want. Wow, thank you so much. Even if it's a trick, and I truly appreciate it for the algorithm. All right, next. Once again, all three angles should add together to give you 180. So I'm going to do 180 equals 112 plus 25 plus unknown. Some unknown we don't know. But if I do 137 equals 180 plus question mark, we could even call it angle B if we wanted. We're going to subtract 137 from both sides. And that will give us 43 equals question mark. So I know this angle measure is 43, which makes this one 43. So I'm going to set x plus 17 equals 43. And you could even start this off. So like if you wanted to do your proof, we could start it with angle E. And that's given information because angle E is 117. Then we can do substitution for angle E, and then combine like terms, so that 50/60 is angle E. What is wrong with that? Oh, I screwed up. That's what, I'm sorry. So when we do substitution, my bad, it should be x plus 17 equals angle E is the 43 degrees. So, hey, mistakes and wrong answers are opportunities for growth and learning. We all do them. Don't think even teachers are perfect. We have mistakes too. So x equals, that would be 30 plus 20 because I got to borrow 7 and 7, so 7 and 6. All right. And we can say 0 out the 17s. So x would equal 26, which now makes sense because if I do 26 plus 17, that should equal 43. Which is why I knew my 60 didn't make sense. Because I was like, well, it needs to be 43 degrees, and if I put 60 in there, that's way past 43. So that's how I started to realize what I was doing was incorrect. So making sure you understand what you're solving for and why you're solving for it. I was trying to solve for x, not substitute in for x. I was given angle E because we figured out what angle E was because we knew what angle B was. So that's where you have to be careful. Play that game. All right, these are the last examples. I'm not really going to do these, but I do want to show you how to figure out how to set them up. So if we look at this, how many curves are with angle D? And hopefully you should say just one, so that means angle A has to correlate with angle D. And then I see 2 for F, so I'm going to have 2 for C. And then 3 for the big angle B and the big angle E. So now if I'm looking at this side from D to E, and this is why I color coordinate, I'm looking for yellow to green. Yellow to green makes a lot more sense visually for me than trying to figure out, well, 1 arc to 3 arcs, 1 arc to 3 arcs. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but saying yellow to green, that makes a lot of sense. So what am I going to set 2y plus 20 equal to? Easy, 36, because they color coordinate with each other. Okay? So that's how you want to pay attention to that. And then give the last one a go. See what you can do with that. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. I hope you get this section done and move on to the next one. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. For everyone out there, please, if you are interested, don't be scared. Join the Discord. Come hang out in the Discord channel. Read the rules, react, grab a role, whether you're a student, parent, or guardian, and you'll have access to everything. Come in, say hi, get some help, Whatever you need for you to be math successful. All right, I'm gonna stop this